It's about that time of day again. My name is Joseph. Tuesday evening, September 19th. Welcome back to our nightly newsletter. We're covering crude oil, S&P, Nasdaq, gold, and euro tonight. Crude is range bound and smack in the middle of a weekly trading range, and my goal is to fade the edges using failures in that two-try rule ahead of the news tomorrow morning. Of course, the S&P is bullish with a spike in range, which tells me to look for buying opportunities using seller failures down in the battle zone tomorrow. Nasdaq is also bullish, but this time using a channel along with measured moves to plan my trades and trade my plan on Wednesday. Gold is bearish with a big old flag pattern, which tells us to look for selling opportunities using an overshoot and the two-try rule before that FOMC announcement tomorrow morning. And of course, the euro is bullish with a multi-day spike in channel, which tells me to stay patient for traps down in the battle zone on Wednesday. Boy, oh boy, all eyes and ears are on the week, or sort of say the semi-monthly FOMC announcement tomorrow morning. We also have the weekly inventory report, which means my plan is to get in early in, early out. I'm going to use some very simple trading ranges that we have developing on the charts this week to find the most reliable trading opportunities tomorrow morning. As always, we got some big news, and we get some big opportunities setting up right for Wednesday morning. Got a great newsletter in store for you guys and gals here this evening. Don't forget though, before we jump in, don't forget the only place to watch the full-length version of this video is here on our blog at sidewaysmarkets.com. If you're watching the video right now on our YouTube channel, not to worry. There's a link in the description of that YouTube video. Follow that link and come join me here on the blog at Sideways Markets for the full-length version. While you're here, don't forget, join the mailing list. I'll send you an email every evening when that nightly newsletter goes live. Follow me on social, lower left-hand corner here, StockTwits, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever your favorite flavor of choice, right? Follow me throughout the week for important charts, links, and updates. And speaking of charts, don't forget you can download all the charts from tonight's video, have them on your computer for tomorrow, right where it says click here to download today's charts, right? And speaking of which, don't forget, if you do one thing else besides watch this video tonight, make sure you grab that free pass. If you're not a member here at School of Trade, what are you waiting for? You're going to learn more with me on that free pass than you will anywhere else on the interwebs. Come out and join me as a guest in the trade room this week. Grab that free pass, and I'll see you there. Don't forget, any questions along the way? I'm always here. I always love answering your questions. Hit me up on live support on the right-hand side of the website. Boy, big day setting up for tomorrow. Let's not waste any time. Tomorrow is Hump Day, Wednesday, September the 20th. Now, as we look at tomorrow's session, right, we don't have much to worry about in the overnight session. Got some merchandise trade from our good friends in Japan at 750. And you know what? Even if we did have some big news in the overnight session, I wouldn't be worried too much about it because all eyes and ears tomorrow are focused on the FOMC announcement. Now, basically how it works is you're going to hear the announcement tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Now, that will be followed by a press conference, right? My gal Janet Yellen, she'll read her scripted, right, report, and then there'll be some live Q&A. So the news comes out at 2 o'clock. That's when the initial burst of fireworks will happen. But you'll see between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock Eastern time, you'll see a lot of kind of aftershocks, right? That'll kind of ripple through the markets as she goes into her live Q&A. This is very, very similar to what we see, right, every few months from Draghi on the ECB announcement, right? Initial announcement comes out, and then, of course, half an hour, 45 minutes later, they have the press conference, right? Janet Yellen will read her pre-prepared statement, right? And then we get the peppering of questions from the who's who among financial reporters. So again, right, tomorrow, pretty much all eyes and ears tomorrow are on the FOMC announcement. What I want you to think of anytime you see an FOMC announcement is early in, early out. A lot of times the leading into that news is relatively low volume. So don't be surprised tomorrow if we see a little bit less volume than we typically do. We saw a lot of low volume markets this morning across the board in what felt like anticipation of tomorrow's FOMC announcement. So we're expecting a little bit lower volume tomorrow morning. It is definitely tradable, but anything after 11 a.m. Eastern time ahead of that FOMC announcement, you've got to have a really good reason to be getting into trades. So protect your capital tomorrow, early in, early out. Don't be surprised. It's a little bit slow. We saw kind of a taste of that in today's session. And then I always recommend to be very, very careful after that news comes out. This is some big, big news, and it's not just going to be the 2 o'clock announcement. There'll be ripples coming to the market, right, as we get into that live Q&A press conference that comes afterwards. You know, this is one of those times when I remind all of my clients there are so many wide open spaces to be trading during the week, right? We don't need to go risking our hard-earned capital during these unpredictable, unreliable, right, major news events. They happen 8 times a year. They're not going to happen every month, right? But we do see them on our charts, right, on our schedule. We like to trade around them. So watch for that, right? Watch that low volume tomorrow morning, early in, early out. 11 a.m. is the magic number. Now, outside of that tomorrow, right, again, like I said, everything else is pretty much secondary to this right now. We do have a big news report tomorrow, retail sales from Great Britain if you're trading London, right? Of course, London happening from between 3 a.m. and 7 a.m. Eastern time. If you're with me tomorrow morning in the trade room, we open up our trade room at 8 o'clock Eastern time, right? We, of course, have our existing home sales number tomorrow at 10 a.m. Heads up on that, too. 10 a.m. is always a big volatile time of the morning. Combine that with some Red Star news from existing home sales, and this could definitely be some fireworks tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern time. If you're a crude oil trader, don't forget you get the weekly inventory report tomorrow. I know, geez, how many more can we add on here? That's okay. I'd rather get it all out of the way tomorrow, right? I'd rather do it all at once, rip the Band-Aid off. That way we've got some open spaces to work with on Thursday and Friday. Couple things about the weekly inventory report. Don't forget, I'm going to post the weekly support and resistance levels. They'll be below tonight's video. I also send them out to all of my social media channels. So if you follow me on Facebook or Twitter or StockTwits or whatever, right, you got those just a few moments ago. So you already have those. If not, right, you can find that link on the blog or just search for Joseph James, right, on Facebook or Twitter. Bottom line, though, is I've got those support and resistance levels posted for you guys below today's video on the blog at Sideways Markets. There's a link that says click here to read more. Follow that link, and you'll see the crude oil support and resistance levels for Wednesday. My cutoff on Wednesday mornings, whenever we have inventory report, which is pretty much every Wednesday, right, is 10:15. 10:15 is my hard cutoff ahead of that 10:30 news. But as I always remind you, I've got to have a really good reason to be trading after 10 a.m. for crude oil, at least, right? This is only for crude oil I'm talking about, right? So Wednesday mornings inventories at 10:30. 10 a.m. is kind of your unofficial number there. 10:15 is the hard cutoff. 10:30 is the news. And again, don't forget, right, anything after that is going to put us in a position where we're going to be after about 11 o'clock Eastern time. So when you combine the petroleum status report along with the FOMC announcement, it's going to really be important tomorrow morning for crude traders, among everybody else, to get to it early, because after that 10:30 news comes out, I don't know enough about it yet, right? We'll see how it looks tomorrow morning, but it should be relatively inconsistent, slow, choppy, sloppy, because we got the FOMC meeting coming right around the corner. So the moral of the story for tomorrow is, right, the plan for tomorrow is early in, early out. Do not be too surprised if we see some lower volume. It definitely appeared. We're going to get a little bit of that from today's session bleeding over into tomorrow. We will talk about the plan for Thursday when we get to tomorrow night's newsletter. But for now, right, the plan for tomorrow, early in, early out. And again, don't forget, we're going to be in our trade room tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time with all of our advanced members. I hope to see you there. Now, speaking of which, let's jump right into crude oil, shall we? We got a lot to cover here tonight. I know you guys are busy people, so let's jump right in. We got crude, S&P, Nasdaq, gold, and of course, we can't forget about the mighty euro. Now, crude oil is sitting right in the middle of a multi-day range, which, of course, lower highs and higher lows creates a triangle ahead of tomorrow's weekly inventory report. This is really not what I want to see right now, right? And it felt like this market was a bit indecisive today, right, as it whipped around. I never like to mess with the middle. You know what mama says, right? Don't fiddle with the middle. So tomorrow's plan is to avoid this middle and wait to sell the high and buy the low using a failure pattern and the 2-try rule. The big challenge tomorrow is that weekly inventory report, which you can see support and resistance levels posted in the lower left-hand corner, as well as the FOMC announcement tomorrow afternoon. My goal for tomorrow is to find those trading opportunities before 10 a.m. to avoid the inventory report, and then we'll have to see what happens afterwards, right? Because again, we get the FOMC announcement just a few shakes away. Boy, you knew things were going sideways when we saw a real strong move higher to start the session today. They couldn't get up to retest yesterday's high. You can see they just stalled out just before yesterday's high. Well, of course, that didn't take much for the bears, and the bears take control. They run it lower, but they stall out before hitting yesterday's low. When was the last time we saw a multi-direction trending day that couldn't retest the prior high and couldn't retest the prior low? That in itself is all you really need to know. This market is balanced. Why is it balanced? I really don't need to know why. It doesn't really help me or hurt me whatsoever if I don't know why. But we can assume it's ahead of the weekly inventory report tomorrow, right? And of course, we get the major FOMC announcement. As I look left, I've got some falling resistance. I've got some rising support. And here we are, smack right in the middle of that trading range. Now remember, the reason why it's important to keep in mind the middle is because the buyers are going to be, one second here, there we go, right? Buyers will be coming in from the bottom. Sellers will be coming in from the top. And in the middle, we get this kind of vacuum in here, right, where there really isn't a lot of control for either side of the market. So as difficult as this might be tomorrow, especially if we just start going sideways here on low volume overnight, is I really want to be patient. Now, what I'm looking for is to get down around those edges, get up around those edges. The actual trading range looks more like, 45 down to just about $50 a barrel. That looks like that's the actual trading range. I always like to focus on those swings, right? So focus on the swings above, focus on those swings above, right? Those are going to be the hot spots for sellers. Focus on those swings below, right? This one back here as well, right at 49.62. The plan is use the 2-try rule and focus on failures. Just like we went up, 1 try, 2 try, and then back down in, then down, 1 try, 2 try, back up in, I'm looking for something very similar. 1 try, 2 try, failure, back down. 1 try, 2 try, failure, back up. Again, focusing on selling high, buying low, and doing my very best to avoid the middle. I'll tell you, avoiding the middle is so much easier said than done, especially when the market is just cruising higher back into the range or lower back into that range. Now, what would it take for a successful breakout? Well, this 2-try rule, the second try would have to continue, right? So 1 try, 2 try, I see strength going higher. Now I know the second attempt, right, has been successful. And keep in mind, guys, a trading range is a balanced area on the chart. We talked about this in last night's newsletter. Could we possibly see a successful change in balance with maybe, I don't know, the weekly inventory report or possibly the FOMC announcement? Absolutely. Now, in the big scheme of things, the FOMC announcement probably not going to have that big of an impact at 2 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow. It'll more have kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy to it. People will stay away from the markets because of the FOMC, but really the big news tomorrow is that weekly inventory report. So we may definitely see a strong breakout, pull back and go, 1 try, and then 2 tries, holds. And if that's the case, I have no problem being a bull, finding a new bull channel, buying those dips with a target going back up, right, to retest those highs, right, prior week high, prior month high. Just be careful though, right, don't get too aggressive. 1 try, 2 try, right, if those buyers can't hold it, we'll start looking for those selling opportunities after it makes that rollover back down in. Same thing to the downside. It's wrong move. one try, two try. If we see the second try continue here, I am perfectly comfortable being a seller. However, I do need to see proof of that. And if we do see proof of that, keep an eye on a larger channel here, right? Kind of a hidden channel coming down. If we do see that continuation lower, we'll wait, stay patient, right, and sell high from there. Very, very difficult to predict what's going to happen ahead of major news like we're seeing tomorrow morning. As we sit right now, though, stay away from this middle, buy that low, sell that high. Use the two-try rule to qualify the failures, and also the two-try rule to tell you when we have a successful breakout of that trading range. If there's one scenario that can successfully change the opinion of value and send us out to a breakout, it's definitely the weekly inventory report. So eyes on the prize tomorrow, early in, early out. 10 o'clock, big round number, right? It's a big milestone. 10:15 is the hard cutoff. Buy low, sell high, avoid the middle, and focus on those failures. And again, don't forget, I've got our support and resistance levels for Wednesday's session, right? Post in the chart. You can also, of course, find those levels below the video tonight on the blog at Sideways Markets. Let's keep going. How about some S&P? I hope you guys use this information, right, to make a bunch of money tomorrow. Remember, though, get in early. Right? Get in early, get out early. That cutoff, right, around 11 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow. Watch out for that low volume. Hope you learned a ton, and hope you use it tomorrow to earn a ton. Just be careful around that FOMC announcement. While I have your attention, don't forget to join our free trial to learn more about how we trade, what we trade, when we trade, why we trade, right? You'll cover all the bases in that free trial, so make sure you check that out on the homepage at schooloftrade.com. If you're watching the video right now on our YouTube channel, there's a link in the description of that YouTube video. Follow that link over to the website and learn more while you're there about our beginner, intermediate, and advanced levels of membership. And don't forget, I'm always here to answer your questions. I know that most websites are all automated robots these days. I will personally answer the phone when you guys call. I look forward to speaking with each and every one of you guys. What a great day today. What a great week it's been so far. It's been a fantastic September here. Hope you guys are having a great time out there on the newsletter as well. Don't forget, we open up our trade room tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock Eastern time. If we don't see you guys there, we'll do it again tomorrow night, same time, same place on our nightly newsletter. My name is Joseph. Be well out there. Be nice to each other, will ya? And be here next time. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.